Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, find a way to lose. So my question is this, right? With so much going on in boxing, people saying there needs to be more done to help grow the sport of boxing. I think that's a little, extreme to make a statement like more needs to be done to grow the sport of boxing. I mean, come on now. Boxing isn't that damn slapping sport that just started a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? Boxing's been around for years. What are you talking about? More needs to be done to grow the sport of boxing. Boxing is being watched by multiples of millions of people. They're just not paying for the pay-per-view. So hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. But my thing is, what would make it more interesting, and I think it's already in the mainstream, but that would keep it there. I think 24/7, 365, is to come up with more interesting fights. Now, people slam the misfits of boxing. They slam them, I don't know why. Talking about that's not boxing. That's boxing. The tag team stuff, that's entertainment. But those guys over there, that's boxing. They're training, and they're getting in there and they're fighting. Okay? It is what it is. Anybody can go get a boxing license. And a matter of fact, some of those guys over there who are fighting each other, you could take some of these professional boxers, these tomato cans, with these 11 and 55 losses on the record, put some of these YouTubers in there with them, and these YouTubers will beat them. Okay? So I think people need to take a deep breath and blow out whatever their frustrations, their disgust, their apprehensions are with what they're doing in Misfits Boxing. But that being said, that Misfits Boxing, I don't care what you say, that's entertaining. I watch it. I ain't gonna lie. I watch it. I'm sitting there cracking up. But I also be sitting there like, damn, kid got a little skill. So it's entertaining, and that's what a lot of the boxing is missing. You go to watch a big fight, and some of the undercards you're watching, you're like, man, what the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? But you got to really be a diehard boxing fan to appreciate just watching boxing and just what fighters are doing in the ring. But when it comes to entertainment, it's like, okay, well, what can boxing do? Let me tell you something. If they were to have some kind of tournament that could really get the attention of the world, boy, they need to have a tournament with these crazy fathers. Put these crazy fathers in the ring. Because they all talk a good game, don't they? Oh, they talk a good game. They all want to cuss. They want to get in the fighter's face. Everybody wants to be a tough guy. Everybody want to be Al Capone. Well, if you're going to be Al Capone, go all the way. Go all the way. And get your ass in the ring. But don't go in and mess with these boxers, because Floyd Mayweather Sr. back in the day would probably be able to handle himself, but you can't tell him nothing with his sarcoidosis or whatever the hell lung issue he has. You can't tell him even now at his age that he can't get in the ring and kick, Terrence Crawford's ass. But the reality of the situation is he may have a good chance on beating Johnfury, Bill Haney, Angel Garcia, Robert Guerrero's crazy-ass dad with that big Mexican mustache, and Teofimo Lopez's dad, who has the biggest mouth in boxing. Now, out of all of these fathers, who do you think wins the tournament? Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know about how the physicals and stuff would go, but I think this would be a fun tournament. I had started putting a video together, but man, YouTube, when I tried to upload it, oh boy, it was getting flagged for copyright this, copyright that. It's like, damn. And it was a good video. It was a good video. It was funny as hell. But man, I can't risk having my channel disbanded, man. So I was like, I ain't gonna play around with it. But the reality is, who do you think would actually win? I know some of these guys are old, but let's just say when they're all young, let's say 30 years old, right? All of them around age 30. With all the talk, right? Who do you think wins the tournament? Because right now, Johnfury is ready to fight. Matter of fact, if you didn't know, Johnfury called out Mike Tyson. He wants to fight Mike Tyson. But let me tell you something about Johnfury. Johnfury is that, he's that dog behind the fence that's back there, all that noise, you know what I'm saying? And then you go and you open the gate, and that dog just kind of peek, like, oh, the real deal about to start. And then he tucks his tail between his legs and runs the opposite direction. Johnfury just like to make a scene and grand charge at people, but he ain't really trying to get busy. But he understands entertainment. He understands selling a fight, and he knows his antics suit selling a fight quite perfectly. So Johnfury is good for the company. But I do think Johnfury would, if someone issued a challenge to him, I think he would get in the ring and have a boxing match with him. I think he would. He may even do bare knuckle brawling. He kind of crazy. But after that, it's just like, okay, well, who else is a real one? I think Floyd Mayweather Sr. is a real one. I think Floyd Mayweather will really get in there and fight. I really do. Him with that with that jab, that jab he's throwing with that right hand across his chest, ready to shoulder roll. Floyd Mayweather Sr. will get in the ring. He probably have Kool-Aid stains on his trunks and shit, but I mean red Kool-Aid stains. But he'd get in there and fight, even with his sarcoidosis or whatever the disease he has. After that, Robert Guerrero's dad. I think Robert Guerrero's dad would really get in there and try to get busy. I think he really is when he was younger, he may have really been about that life, you know what I mean? And even now, he's running around here with the big Mexican mustache and the big pizza hat on his head. I think he would definitely get in there and try to get busy. But I think Floyd Mayweather beats Robert Guerrero's dad at a street fight. I think Guerrero beats everybody on here. And bare knuckle and no rules barred fight. I think Johnfury wins because he'll probably bite somebody's nose off and poke him in the eyeball. But then when it comes to after those three, Angel Garcia, he may win the arguing, you know, the battle of words, because that dude can argue. Him and Teofimo Lopez, they ain't trying to get physical at all. They ain't getting physical. But that would be a good, if you could have like an arguing match, oh, that would be entertaining. Just sit back and see who, and have like 4 rounds and kind of judge who wins the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, who can say the most hurtful stuff and drive somebody into a psychiatrist's office. That would be entertaining. And the one person out of all this, man, who probably can't even coochie-coo somebody is Bill Haney. Bill Haney, one of them old light-skinned cats who probably is back in the day was the prom king and had that damn, you know, Coming to America, Jerry curl. He probably even had the braid, man, with the little fruits and berries and and all them little juices and shit in there. With his collar flipped up, man, and sprayed down with some goddamn cologne and thinking he was clean. But let me tell you something. Bill Haney, I don't know if Bill Haney is he's a boxing coach, is he a Muslim, is he a thug, is he a pimp? You know, what is Bill Haney? Well, one thing I don't think he is, I don't think he's no damn fighter. I'll tell you that. Matter of fact, I think Camboso's dad would whip Bill Haney. I should have put him on here, whip Bill Haney's ass, so we already know they went out there and shook up Teofimo's dad. But out of all these guys, the weakest one out here, I think is Bill Haney. Well, Bill Haney ain't trying to get busy. He ain't trying to do nothing, man. He out there just trying to get Devin Haney, strategically planning Devin Haney's career and get him into the big fights. Bill Haney doesn't want any problems with anybody, man. But he can talk, don't get me wrong, but he don't want any problems with anybody on here. But if they had a tournament, man, I think the two who would bubble to the top, I think Johnfury would be at the top. And maybe Floyd Mayweather Sr., man. I don't know. But Robert Guerrero's dad probably, him and Floyd Mayweather Sr. would be funny. But I think Robert Guerrero's dad maybe pull out a knife and try to shank somebody. But anyway, they're always talking, always arguing. Bill Haney arguing with Regis Prograis, strength and conditioning coach. Teofimo Lopez's dad always got something to say. Robert Guerrero's retired, but his dad always talking trash. Danny Garcia's dad, they put some pressure on him, didn't they? That man became scared to talk. He was out here, he was a loose cannon. MF, B word, N word, you ain't got nothing, P word. Like, he was just streets, real street ignorant guy. And some, the secret society got a hold of him, boy. They squeezed they put the squeeze on his balls, didn't they? That man ain't like what they did to he did not like what they did to his nuts, boy, because he got quiet. I'm sure he probably got a fine or something happened, but he got threatened with something and shut him up, didn't it? Shut him up so much that Danny Garcia stopped really fighting. He's picking fights once every 2 years. That's pay attention. The secret society is real. Secret society hemmed him up. Floyd Mayweather Sr., his son's done with the sport of boxing. And Floyd took care of his dad, especially towards the end, and having him as his trainer. Unfortunately, Roger Mayweather was kind of out of it. And I ain't want to put Roger Mayweather on here, man. He's passed away, and I don't joke about that stuff. But I will say I think Roger beat everybody on here. Roger was about that. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, when it comes to the tournament, I don't know, man. I think Johnfury may get everybody, man. I think so, man. He's just funny as hell to me. He's funny. He's entertaining. But him and Floyd Mayweather Sr., that's what I put my money on. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. But Devin Haney's dad, he need to kill the noise, man. He out here, a lot of talking. Like, he's just doing it for entertainment. But I'm going to tell you something, man, from a guy who's been in confrontations. I've never been an arguing guy. But there comes a point where you have someone staring at you, or maybe there's a few words. I was never a guy who talked a lot. But there comes a point, man, where a person, something clicks, and they go black. They make up their mind. And that's when the real deal starts. You understand? And Devin Haney's dad makes sure that he stays in a safe space to where things don't get to that point. And when it does, he'll start to throttle back a little bit to de-escalate, because he don't really want it to things to boil over and have nothing crazy go on. And you know what? That's because he has a conscience, because this man been to prison. You know what I'm saying? Once you develop a conscience, you go against what comes natural to you. And for me, I've developed that, leaving out of that environment I was in as a young man and going off into the military. It took me about 10 years or so to really develop that conscience. I was aware, but I think around like 10 years in, I was like, all right, I can't be out here doing this shit, because you just can't do it. I'll just leave it as that. But now, yeah, we all have a conscience. I was up in my son's AAU tournament. Well, at a practice. I was at a practice, and there was a guy there, man. He screams at his son all the time. I mean, crazy. Screaming at his son, banging the floor, kicking the wall, shouting at his son. I mean, it's just a practice. Coaches tell him, hey, Pops, you got to calm down and get out, So what happened is my son is 13, and he's younger than some of the guys' kids. Some of them are 16, 17, 15, 16, 17. And my son is giving them all the business. My son's really good, right? So the father, after months of seeing my son just totally dog his son out, like kill his son. And I even talked to the kid. I was like, look, he's been playing since he's been in like 4th grade, man, AAU ball. You just now, a couple of years, you can't possibly know what he knows. He's been nonstop year-round since 4th grade. He's in 8th grade now. You know what I mean? He's a problem. And so I try to tell the kid, just keep working. It's a process. But the father decided he wanted to harass my son. So now every time my son gets the ball, he's like, oh, he's going to brick it. Air ball. He ain't got nothing. And so I was in the cafeteria. They have this huge gym. There's a cafeteria that's join to it. So I'm in the cafeteria with my youngest son. Well, he's coloring because I don't need to be over there. My son's practicing. So we're at the end of practice. My son's like, "Hey, Dad, you need to talk to that guy." And I'm like, "Who?" He's like, the guy who was always shouting at his son. I'm like, what happened? He's like, he just, every time I get the ball, shouting stuff at me. To my, oh, he's going to break, he's going to air ball, he's going to this. I'm like, man, I ain't worried about that guy. Did he touch you? He's like, nah, he was heckling me. I was like, I mean, come with the territory. We already know he's miserable. Let's leave it alone. Because if I say something and he says something smart, I'm out here with a bunch of parents, a bunch of kids. I got my little 6-year-old with me as well. My other 2 sons were at home. And, I just don't want to have to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? Because I know the direction it can go. So anyway, I told the coach, like, yo, man, you need to talk to this guy, man. He's out here, he harassing his son. But now I'm here. He said something to my son and maybe just harassing kids on the court. So he had already, like 5 minutes before that, had a run-in with this parent because the parent was shouting at the coach, feeling that because he wasn't satisfied with what was going on in the practice, and the guy was screaming at the coach. So the coach is like, yeah, well, now, you talk to him, that's your son. Hey, you got to let these people know. And I'm like, these cats just don't have the damn skill set I have, you know what I'm saying? And with my background and being in leadership positions and, de-escalating and knowing how to manage conflict, So I said, cool. So I went to talk to the guy and I was like, hey, I'm just trying to understand what happened, His son told me something I was out there, but because I had talked to him before, but not about it, was just, casual conversation. But when I'm talking to him, all of a sudden he's like, I didn't say nothing to your kid. I didn't say nothing to your kid. And his face was twitching. So I said, okay, this dude is upset. And I said, hold on a second. I was like, I wasn't in here. I said, I respect you. As a man like myself, I said, but I'll tell you what. Let me ask my son. So I called my son over. I said, tell me what happened. I said, because he's saying he didn't say nothing to you. My son was like, he's lying. And the guy got mad because, with his son, he's very controlling. And his son could never say, Dad, you're lying. He would probably punch his son in his mouth. So he's mad because my son called him a liar. So he's like, I didn't do nothing to you. I didn't do nothing to you. And so I'm watching the interaction, right? Because I'm like, oh, he's going to try to argue with my son. So I said, go ahead. I said, ignore him. Say what you're saying. And I told the guy, I said, yo, don't cut him off. Let him talk. So now I know the guy's lying. He's like, now when I was coming down, he was shouting, I shot the ball. He's like, I was making him, then I missed one. And he was like, yeah, brick, he can't shoot. I said, okay. And he was like, I didn't say that to you. And my son was like, yes, you did. You're lying. He was like, no, I was telling my son that. And I said, you were telling your son that your son can't shoot? Your son is bricking? He was like, yeah. I said, you were saying that to your son? He said, yeah. I said, but you said that when my son shot the ball. He was like, yeah. I said, okay, hold on. So you're talking about my son, but you're saying it to your son. He's like, yeah. I said, so you're heckling my son. He's like, but I'll say that to my son to make my son play more defense. I was like, but hold on. So you got a young kid, kids in here practicing, they're coming down to shoot the ball. You're shouting out brick or air ball to heckle them, and somehow you think that's developing your son? I said, I'll tell you what, right? I was like, don't say anything to my son out here. He's out here to play. You have your son. You can do what you want to do to your son. Me personally, I wouldn't say anything negative to your son. If anything, it's to build that dude into a champion. I said, but you break your child down, you're not going to break mine down, man. So he was trying to argue with me. He's like, I didn't say nothing to him. He was like, plus, that's what they got to get used to. They're going to be people in the crowd to heckle him. I was like, yeah, we'll deal with that. I said, but we're not going to come to practice and have you do it. I said, plus, look, man, I said, I feel like I'm talking to a effing 11-year-old right now. I said, so I'm going to leave. I said, because I'm starting to get upset. And, I said, I don't want to lose my cool in here. I said, I'm telling you, I'm getting upset, so I'm going to walk away. So I told my sons to come on because I had, at this point, you got that little meter and it's and if it gets up here, it's a problem, right? I was probably about like in this range. I'm like, man, let me go if I hit this dude, man. Because he was messing with my son. And I was like, man, if I go off in here, ain't nobody gonna be able to stop me. And I just knew everything I worked for was gonna go down the drain. Because once I get started, I ain't stopping. And I was like, let me just go before it gets stupid. So we're walking out, and this guy with his son. Now his son is embarrassed because his dad is an idiot. His son is looking at the ground. His son walks off. The father's like, you don't have to walk away. You can stay here. And the son is shaking his head, and I'm like, yo. I said, look, your son's embarrassed. So we walk out. He's trying to follow me. So while he's coming out, my son's staring at him. So the guy's like, look, your son's staring at me. There's no respect. There's no respect. And I was like, he can look at you and anyone he wants. He can say what the F he wants, man. So see, now I'm cussing, right? And that's not good because, like I tell you, man, I'm getting to that point. So I'm like, he can say what the F he wants. He can look at you how he wants. I was like, you out here arguing and harassing 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. He's one of the younger kids in here killing y'all, and you frustrated because he's dogging your son out. I was like, so now you're going to sit here and talk about how he's looking at you and say he's not going to respect you. You chose to have a child-to-child transaction with him. You didn't engage him like an adult to a child. So he's going to see you as a child and treat you like that. I was like, you created that, not him. And I said, he was trying to say something. He was like, I'm not afraid of you. I said, I really feel like I got to counsel you or reprimand you. Like, I really feel like that's what I need to do. Like write some paperwork up on your dumb ass. I was like, because you 46 and you out here acting like this. I was like, he was like, yeah, you think no one's afraid of you. I was like, my man. I was like, I'm going to leave. And his son was so embarrassed. I said, look at your son. Listen to your son. I was like, I said, I'm not going to threaten you, but my man, you really don't want to go that route. I said, matter of fact, you a tough guy, right? I said, I'm not a tough guy. You're tough. You here shouting at little kids. Now you mad, right? I said, I tell you what, there's a place for tough guys like you. I was like, you continue. We're going to let you take your tough guy energy somewhere, right? And you can go be tough with other tough guys because I'm not a tough guy. And everyone's laughing at him, right? So we walk out and he's like, yeah, have a good night. I said, yeah, man, buenas noches. And my sons in the whole gym started laughing at him. And he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's so mad. So then he ends up getting his son, because of his father, the son got moved off the team. But that guy was somebody who reminds me of these guys with extremely big mouths. And then when the real deal starts, you know what I'm saying? They can't handle it. And it's just funny because when I'm sitting here talking about which father was this crazy tournament, made me think about that dude. So I got sidetracked. But talk about an idiot. It's something going on for your children. Just like with these guys, these press conferences are for their kids. But sometimes you get the parents who want to take over, you know what I'm saying, with their big mouths and their antics. And they don't do anything but hurt their child. And that's what happened with this bozo at the practice. And I think that's what's happening here with Angel Garcia more than the other ones. It's starting to happen with Johnfury. He's getting carried away. But with Angel Garcia, they want to take over and they want to be a center of attention. Well, I'll tell you what. Once you graduate to getting the attention that you desire, you got to deal with it. And Angel Garcia got some serious pressure, and he didn't like what he received. Just like that fool at that practice, the attention he was going to get, he wouldn't have liked it. I'm talking about the attention I was about to give him, and the attention that he was going to get by getting his ass locked up in the joint. He wouldn't have liked that either. So, anyway, y'all keep cool. But I think Johnfury may take this tournament if it ever happened. In the breeze.